Hello, my friends. I'm Dr. Mark, a health expert specializing in adults and seniors. But more than that, I'm also a son walking side by side with my aging parents on their journey to stay healthy after 60. Today, I want to invite you to sit down with me just for a few minutes and talk about something that might seem small, but could actually make a big difference in how we live healthier every single day. We're talking about nuts. Yes, those small handfuls we often snack on while watching TV, reading a book, or enjoying a cup of tea in the afternoon. But behind those little bites is a health story worth listening to. Let me ask you this. Have you ever thought about it this way? You grab a handful of nuts and think, hey, this is healthy, right? And you're not wrong, but have you ever stopped to wonder, are these nuts really helping me or quietly working against me? One of my patients, Eleanor, age 67, used to snack on a bag of salted mixed nuts every single day. She told me, Doctor, I heard nuts are good for the heart and brain, so I make sure to eat them daily. But after a while, she came in feeling bloated, tired, and her blood pressure and sugar were starting to swing up and down. We sat down and looked at her routine. Turns out it wasn't the fact that she ate nuts. It was what kind of nuts and how she was eating them. Some nuts are packed with salt, some with oils that trigger inflammation, and some can even interfere with medications. What felt healthy turned out to be quietly harmful. Here's something I tell my patients all the time. Every bite of food is a message you send to your body. And after 50, those messages need to be clearer, gentler, and wiser. Why? Because our bodies don't process nutrition the same way they did in our 30s. One kind of nut could support your bones memory and immune system. Another could overload your liver, spike your blood sugar, or weaken the effects of your blood pressure meds. Now imagine this. You eat a handful of almonds every day, and you're not just getting calcium for your bones, you're also getting magnesium that tells the calcium, hey, go to the bones, not the arteries. That means you're strengthening your skeleton and protecting your heart without needing another pill. Or you eat a few pistachios after lunch. They're naturally high in potassium, a mineral that gently lowers your blood pressure. Your heartbeat calms, you feel lighter, clearer. You're not just eating, you're communicating with your body in the most natural way possible. Here's a moment that stayed with me. I once asked a 70-year-old patient of mine, what do you think your bodies have been trying to tell you lately? He chuckled and said, probably complaining a lot, but I just figured that's age. But you know what? Not everything that happens after 60 is just getting old. Sometimes it's about what we didn't know, or didn't notice, or just didn't choose yet. And today I want to share with you some nuts that science has clearly shown to be powerful for aging adults. No fancy marketing, no gimmicks, just nature's tiny gifts packed with strength. Let's begin with almonds, one of my absolute favorite nuts to recommend to my patients. Just a small handful, maybe the size of your palm, gives you about 97 milligrams of calcium. That's roughly what you get from a quarter cup of milk. And for anyone dealing with bone loss, back pain, or aching joints, that's a gentle daily remedy from nature itself. But almonds go beyond bone health. They're rich in vitamin E and flavonoids, antioxidants that help protect your brain cells and your skin from silent damage. Damage that over time can lead to memory problems, wrinkles, or even cognitive decline. And if you're on statins to lower cholesterol, almonds are a wonderful partner. They help bring down the bad LDL and lift up the good HDL, the cholesterol, that keeps your arteries clear and your heart young. So when you choose almonds, you're not just snacking. You're investing in your body's future one small bite at a time. And that's just the beginning. Pistachios, they may make you smile, but they're no joke. Pistachios are another great example. They're small, crunchy, and surprisingly satisfying. But what makes them really special is that they're packed with potassium, a mineral that helps neutralize the effects of salt, which is something older adults often struggle with, especially when it comes to high blood pressure. And if you or someone you love has a history of type 2 diabetes, pistachios are an ideal snack. They have a low glycemic index, meaning they won't spike your blood sugar after meals. On top of that, pistachios contain lutein and zeaxanthin, two compounds that protect your eyes and help reduce your risk of age-related macular degeneration, one of the leading causes of blindness after 60. You know, some of these tiny nuts are so small we often overlook them. But when you understand what's really happening inside your body after 50, you begin to realize nothing is ever small when it comes to your health. Now let's talk about hazelnuts. The name might sound unfamiliar to some, but hazelnuts are a wonderful friend to your brain and nervous system. I want you to picture this. Inside your brain, billions of nerve cells are working around the clock, helping you remember your grandchild's name, solve a crossword puzzle, or simply smile when you hear an old favorite song. Hazelnuts are rich in vitamin E and folate, two essential nutrients that help protect and support those very neural pathways. One of my patients, Mr. Robert, 72 years old, once told me, "Doc, I'm still doing okay, but lately I've been forgetting names more often. I keep dropping things and can't even recall what I was holding." I didn't panic, but I also didn't ignore it, because sometimes those are the brain's quiet whispers calling out for help. We worked together to adjust his diet and started with just a few hazelnuts a day. A small step, a steady one. 3 months later, he told me I feel sharper. It's like the fog in my head has lifted. Hazelnuts don't just help with memory. They're also packed with antioxidants that protect your cells from aging. And the heart-healthy monounsaturated fats they contain, they help lower LDL cholesterol and keep your arteries flexible, something we all care about more and more after 50. Now let's talk about the brain protector, walnuts. There's something I always share with my patients. Have you ever noticed that a walnut looks just like a little brain? That's no accident. Nature has a funny way of leaving us clues. Walnuts are incredibly rich in omega-3 ALA, a type of essential fat our bodies can't produce on their own. This fat helps keep the walls of your brain cells strong and flexible, making it easier for signals to move quickly, clearly, and effectively. That's key for staying sharp and holding on to memories. I remember a study from UCLA that showed people who regularly ate walnuts performed better on cognitive tests. To me, that's not just numbers, it's hope. It's a shot at living your later years with clarity, confidence, and a sense of connection. Walnuts also contain natural melatonin, which can help you sleep deeper and more peacefully. If you find yourself tossing and turning at night, try a small handful of walnuts before bed. Think of it as a gentle lullaby for your nervous system. And there's more walnuts help reduce inflammation in brain tissue, something that's been linked to Alzheimer's and other forms of dementia. Now, have you ever squinted to see something so small you almost miss it, only to find out it carries incredible power? That's chia seeds. One of my patients once asked me, "Doc, what can I eat to stay full longer and keep my blood sugar steady? I get sweet cravings right after breakfast." My answer: try adding a teaspoon of chia seeds to your morning smoothie yogurt or even a glass of water. Chia seeds are loaded with fiber, and when they soak up liquid, they expand into a soft gel inside your gut. That slows down digestion, keeps your blood sugar stable, and helps you stay full, especially helpful for folks at risk of type 2 diabetes. And here's something many people don't know. Chia seeds are a rare plant-based source of omega-3, a powerful anti-inflammatory fat that supports your heart and brain. In a small study, older adults who ate chia seeds daily saw improvements in blood pressure and cholesterol. They're also a surprising source of calcium, perfect for protecting your bones as you age. For women post-menopause, this is a quiet weapon against osteoporosis. And now let me share a little cautionary tale about Brazil nuts. I'll never forget a checkup with one of my longtime patients, Linda, 65 years old. She'd always been very careful with her diet, but lately she felt tired, a little nauseous, and noticed her hair was thinning. After some careful questions, I discovered she'd been eating 5-6 Brazil nuts every day. "Someone told me they're great for thyroid health," she said. And that's true, but with Brazil nuts, more isn't better. These nuts are nature's richest source of selenium, a mineral vital for thyroid immune function and your nervous system. But too much selenium builds up in the body and can actually be toxic. Just one large Brazil nut a day is enough. But 5 or 6, that can cause digestive issues, hair loss, brittle nails, and in extreme cases, nerve damage. I always tell my patients, Brazil nuts are like a natural supplement, not a casual snack. If you want to support your thyroid, especially during menopause or unexplained weight gain, Brazil nuts can be powerful, but only when used correctly. You see, after 50, eating well isn't just about what's healthy. It's about what's right for you, your body, your age, your needs. It's not just what to eat. It's how much, when, and does this fit my health story? And when we start asking those questions, even with something as small as a nut, we're not just eating. We're healing, we're honoring, we're choosing a future of strength. Chia seeds and Brazil nuts, total opposites in size, yet surprisingly similar. In one powerful way, they both have the potential to transform your health, if you know how to listen to your body. I always tell my patients, don't just eat out of habit. Eat like you're sending your body a love letter. You could start your day with a glass of chia water and end it with a single Brazil nut, like a gentle living vitamin taken with intention and care. But here's the thing, not all nuts are created equal. Not every nut is a friend to your health. I want you to picture this. You're eating a small handful of mixed nuts thinking, this is a healthy snack, but inside that tiny shell might be something your heart, your liver, or even your medications don't agree with. I've seen it far too often. Older patients come to me proud of their healthy choices until we take a closer look at their daily habits. And some of those so-called harmless nuts, they turn out to be the silent culprits behind bloating, high blood sugar inflammation, even medication complications. So, which nuts should you be more cautious with? Cashews, sweet, but not so innocent. I remember a patient, Linda, 62, she loved honey roasted cashews. I eat a handful every night instead of dessert. She told me, it's better than cake, right? But her blood sugar stayed stubbornly high, and her kidneys were beginning to show signs of stress. Cashews are high in carbs and oxalates, a compound that can bind with calcium and form kidney stones. For anyone with prediabetes or kidney issues, this isn't the best late-night snack. Think nuts don't affect your blood sugar. Cashews might make you think again. Peanuts, popular but problematic. A classic snack, right? We've all grown up with peanuts, but here's a truth many don't realize. Peanuts aren't true nuts. They're legumes and they grow underground, making them prone to contamination by aflatoxin, a mold toxin that can damage the liver. Now, I'm not saying you need to ban peanuts forever, but if you already have liver issues or are on medications that get processed through the liver, be extra cautious. Plus, peanuts are high in omega-6 fats, and if your omega-3s aren't in balance, that can lead to chronic inflammation. And as you may know, inflammation is the silent background of so many diseases: arthritis, heart disease, even Alzheimer's. Macadamia, rich, creamy, but not without risks. Macadamias feel luxurious, don't they? But just 10 to 12 kernels, pack in nearly 200 calories, most of it from fat. If you're trying to manage weight or cholesterol, portion control is key. And if you have gallbladder issues, these fatty nuts can trigger painful spasms, nausea, or even a trip to the ER. I once had a 70-year-old patient land in the hospital after a macadamia feast from a gift basket he got during the holidays. Too much of a good thing, still too much. Pine nuts, small but tricky. Often found in gourmet salads and pasta dishes, pine nuts can cause a strange condition called pine mouth, a metallic taste that lingers for days or even weeks after eating. Worse, they can interfere with certain medications, blood pressure meds, cholesterol, drugs, antidepressants, and many people don't make the connection. They're also slippery and small, which can pose a choking risk for older adults with dry mouth or swallowing difficulties. If aspirated, they can cause aspiration pneumonia, which is very dangerous. Flavored or salted nuts, taste can trick us. I once asked a group of older patients, what kind of nuts do you usually eat? And 8 out of 10 said salted roasted ones, they just taste better. But that salt, it doesn't just make you thirsty. Flavored nuts often come loaded with sodium, sugar, and artificial additives that can drive up blood pressure, spike blood sugar, and burden the liver. Instead of choosing what's easy to pop, try going for plain, dry roasted, unsalted varieties as a quiet thank you to the body that's carried you this far. Candied or honey roasted nuts. Sweet little traps. Let's be honest, these are candy, not health food. They may look natural with a drizzle of honey or a caramel glaze, but they're loaded with refined sugars. That sugar strips away the nutritional benefits of the nut and replaces it with inflammation, weight gain, and a risk of diabetes. I often joke with my patients, once a nut gets rolled in sugar, it's no longer a health snack, it's dessert in disguise. A perspective from a doctor who's walked this road with hundreds over 50. Let me ask you this. Have you ever thought that something as simple as a handful of nuts could affect how you sleep, how your heart beats, or what your lab results say at your next checkup? I once cared for an elderly woman nearly 80 years old. All we did was switch one small habit. She replaced her nightly salted peanuts with plain almonds. And within 6 weeks, her blood pressure was more stable, her sleep improved, and her skin had a glow her family noticed. Health doesn't always require big dramatic changes. Sometimes it starts with the smallest things, like the handful of nuts you choose. Dear friend, maybe you've tried different diets, read all the books, watched all the videos, but today I'm not asking you to memorize nutrition facts. I just hope you take one message to heart your body whispers to you every day, and when you listen, truly listen, it rewards you with clarity, energy, and peace. Sometimes it's as simple as swapping out one jar in your pantry or choosing a nut that better supports your brain, your bones, or your blood sugar. Those tiny choices can ripple out into your sleep, your energy, your mood, even your joy, sitting at the table with your grandkids. One small shift a day, it's like tending a garden, not with floods of effort, but with timely drops of attention. You deserve a future full of movement, memory, and mornings that feel alive, not just okay. You deserve a life where your medicine cabinet gathers dust and your kitchen brings you healing. And if this video gave you something to think about, even a little, please don't keep it to yourself. Click like so I know you're out there listening and growing. Share it with a friend, your spouse, or someone you love. Because health is a gift, and sharing that gift is how we make life better together. And if you want to keep walking this journey of wellness with me, with real science, without the fluff, hit that subscribe button. Age 60, 70, even 80. It's not the end of the road. It's the beginning of living on your own terms. And I'll be right here walking alongside you. See you in the next video. Wishing you a peaceful, energized day ahead.